Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. We're live here on Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. coming at you from Studio I at Chat Sports HQ. Producer Chip along for the ride as well. It is a beautiful Wednesday, December 17th, and there's so much to talk about here on this show as we talk all things Eagles every single day year-round right here on the program. Already 230 people watching. Help us out as you come in here. Hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. And if you're watching after the fact, we appreciate you, of course, for being a real one. Here is the Eagles Now rundown for everything that we're talking about here today. Going to get to all the latest Philadelphia Eagles news. We're going to do an in-depth Eagles Commanders Week 16 preview. Why the Eagles got a triple dose of good news that should get Eagles fans very fired up. We'll take an updated look at the Eagles playoff picture, how they could still potentially get the number 1 seed, how they can move up from the 3 seed to the 2 seed. Stay tuned for that. You'll certainly get informed. And then we're going to open up the floor. We're going to do a mailbag and take all of your questions. You can start to get your questions in right now, by the way, by using the hashtag Eagles or sending in a super chat. Shout out to the recent commenter club and all the people who are here early. Cool Rains, thinking about everybody down there in Australia, including you, Cool Rains, Kelly Wong, Little Griffith. I see Not Yo Many YFM in the building as well. Reckless Gamer, thanks for being here, in addition to everybody else who's tuned into the program. A programming reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This is your home for daily coverage of the E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles. We will also be live on Saturday, not on Sunday, for Eagles Commanders. You may have looked at this Eagles schedule and said, oh, I've got all day Saturday to watch some college football, get some errands done. No, the Birds are playing at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be live for an hour pregame show. So I hope to see all of you there. And as you can see here to my right, we're closing in on 140,000 subscribers. As far as some big Eagles injury news that we can pass along that just came across the wire, the Eagles today, as you can see, are practicing at Lincoln Financial Field, not at the NovaCare Complex because there is snow on the ground in South Philly. And so the Eagles playing at the Link. Shout out to Elliott Shore Parks for this photo. And Jalen Hurts is practicing. Yesterday on the estimated injury report, he was not listed on it. He injured his ankle against the Las Vegas Raiders. He said after the game, he'd have to get it checked out. This is a great sign for his status going into Saturday's game against Washington. I just think this Eagles team on offense needs to get in as many quality reps as possible. Saquon Barkley, the Eagles running back, who's surprisingly closing in on 1,000 rushing yards and is 11th in the league in rushing yards, despite all of the run game struggles, was listed as a non-participant yesterday. So if the Eagles would have actually hit the practice field, he would not have practiced with a stinger. Today, Saquon, number 26, last year's Offensive Player of the Year on the practice squad for the Birds. Lane Johnson, not seen at Lincoln Financial Field. Looks as though the Eagles are going to be without him yet again. He obviously has been one of the best players in the history of this organization, and still this year, one of the top tackles in the game, allowing the lowest pressure rate, I believe, among all offensive tackles in this sport. This could get a little bit hairy. I know the Commanders' pass rush isn't all that great, but Fred Johnson not seen on the practice field today. He's been dealing with some injuries, so we'll monitor his status. Landon Dickerson injured his calf. He, too, not practicing today for the Eagles, and it just seems as though since the start of the year, he has not been healthy and hasn't been able to get healthy. On the defensive side of the ball, Vic Fangio talking today, and Andrew Nakobe is eligible to come off of injured reserve after the Commanders game, which is Week 16, going into Week 17. But Vic, who has this defense balling, and we'll get into that during the live show, did say Nakobe not going to come off of injured reserve after Week 16 as he broke his ankle against the Dallas Cowboys. Fangio did talk about Brandon Graham, who he said after last year shouldn't retire because he played at such a high level, and BG against the Raiders became the oldest player in the history of the Eagles organization to record a sack. Well, it wasn't just that one sack. BG, the OG, had 2 sacks in 7 snaps against Las Vegas. And he's been rushing from defensive tackle with Jalen Carter out. Once Jalen Carter comes back after getting procedures on both of his shoulders, will BG continue to rush the passer from the interior? Fangio said, we'll see. We might mix it up with having number 55 at defensive end and at defensive tackle. For our mailbag, by the way, get those questions in starting right now. Use the hashtag Eagles, or if you send in a super chat, you can get on the show. And to anybody who sends in a $50 super chat, if you do that on today's live show, we'll do something special for you during Saturday's broadcast. So let me just throw that out there. If you're ready to talk some birds, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Well over 200 people watching live. You can really help us out by hitting that thumbs up icon and like the video. The more likes that we get, the more people who find the stream, the more people who pile in, and the more fun that we will have. Another loaded show coming your way on this Wednesday, December 17th. We're going to start off with our Eagles Commanders preview. That will be segment number 1, and then a lot more to come after that as well. Really glad all of you are hanging out here with us. We really appreciate the support. We're about to get the official show underway with our Week 16 preview, NFC East rivalry game between Philadelphia and Washington. Let's do that right now. Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, Week 16 previews. The Philadelphia Eagles hit the road to play the Washington Commanders in an NFC East rivalry game. This game will happen on Saturday, not on Sunday, in case you didn't know. December 20th, right around the corner. Kickoff is set for 5 p.m. Eastern. So kind of an odd start time as far as this game goes at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. Philadelphia, 6.5-point favorites. That line has gone up a half point, and the over-under at 44.5. Programming reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily elite coverage of the Eagles right here on YouTube from yours truly. But also, we go live for every single Eagles game. We're running it back again. We'll be live for an Eagles Commanders watch party, the best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. And as you hit that sub button, don't forget to hit that bell icon, turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime we go live, anytime I push out a video like this, you will get that push notification. My thoughts on this game. It is really important for this Eagles offense to keep it rolling so that they can peak late after a very frustrating year with the playoffs coming up around the corner, and we'll talk more about that throughout this preview. Some big injury news for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts saying that the ankle that he injured at the end of the third quarter when he got tackled awkwardly by Devin White and that ankle got caught beneath him, not an issue. He was not listed on the injury report for the Eagles on Tuesday, practiced on Wednesday. He's going to start for the Birds once again against Washington this weekend. Marcus Mariota starting for the Commanders because Jane Daniels being sit for the rest of the year. He's dealt with the bevy of injuries. We'll also talk about him coming up. And the Commanders, they might be out of it, already eliminated from playoff contention. But to their credit and to Dan Quinn's credit, this is a team that continues to fight and play hard. And for all Eagles fans out there, we're hoping that after seeing encouraging signs from the Eagles offense against the Chargers, and then with Philadelphia's offense putting it all together and dropping 31 points in a rout of the Raiders, that this offense has found something, that the Eagles can peak late with the playoffs on the horizon. Hopefully that is the case because it's always great for the Birds to be hot late in the year. With a win on Saturday evening, the Eagles can win the NFC East. There has not been a repeat divisional winner in the NFC East since all the way back in 2004. So the Eagles looking to end a 2-decade drought. And you look across all other divisions across the National Football League, there has been repeat divisional winners as recently as 2024, 2023, 2022. The NFC East is the outlier. 2 decades in which there has not been a consecutive divisional winner. Now, if the Eagles do lose against Washington, But the Cowboys also lose against the Chargers. Philadelphia still wins the NFC East because the magic number is 1. And with that, you pop up the NFC East standings. Philadelphia ending that 3-game losing streak, beating the Raiders 31-0. They lift their record to 9-5. The Cowboys, calendar turns to December. They went from the hottest team in football to losers of 2 straight. Classic Dallas, 6-7-1. Commanders at 4-10 last week. They beat the New York Giants, and the hapless G-Men 2-12. And how about this tweet from Mike Sealski, who does a great job covering Philadelphia sports for the Philadelphia Inquirer? The Eagles are about to win the NFC East for the 12th time in the last 25 years. In that span, they've had twice as many winning seasons as the Giants, 4 times as many divisional titles as the Commanders, and infinity times more Super Bowls than the Cowboys. You got to love that. What a beautiful sound and a beautiful sight that is. You take a gander at the NFC playoff picture. Of course, this game for Philadelphia does have playoff and seeding implications. I'm recording this show on Wednesday. The Rams travel to Seattle to play the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. So those records and potentially the seeds of both those teams will change in the aftermath of that Thursday game. But for now, Rams in the 1 spot, Bears the 2 seed at 10-4, Philadelphia in that 3 spot holding firm at 9-5, the Buccaneers leading the NFC South once again at 7-7, and then the 3 wildcard squads, Seahawks 5 seed at 11-3, Niners the 6 seed at 10-4, and the Green Bay Packers the final wildcard position at 9-4-1. When I scout the Washington Commanders, this has been a disastrous season for Washington, considering the expectations that they had coming off of their best season in recent memory in 2024 when they made it to the NFC Championship game and everything that was kind of working in their favor. It looked as though at the time they got their head coach right, got the quarterback right, Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, coming back once again after getting some head coaching interviews. They were very active in free agency, made a couple of solid pickups in the NFL draft over the last couple of years. The arrow was pointing up for the Commanders. But for them to have this record at this juncture of the year, to already be eliminated from playoff contention, very disappointing season for the Commanders. A very frustrating year 2 for Jalen Daniels, given all of the injuries that he's had. And I think the play has been somewhat subpar. To the Commanders' credit, their offensive line last year was a problem. They got housed by the Eagles in the NFC title game, and the Eagles were able to dominate in the trenches. The Commanders said, we can't let this happen again. We also have to get better in running the ball. So they made a couple of moves, including a trade for Laramie Tunsil, and in the trenches up front offensively, they are better. This team does still fight hard. It's not going to be a cupcake game for the Eagles like it was against the Raiders, because I think the Raiders team has given up on the year. And this Commanders team, the run game is solid with now Marcus Mariota playing at quarterback and then Ja'Cory Bill Krosky-Merritt, the rookie, at that running back spot. The Commanders, the news this week, shutting Jalen Daniels down for the rest of the season. They spoke with him and they said, we're going to sit you for the remainder of the 2025 campaign. He had a hamstring injury, then he had a knee injury, then he dislocated his elbow, missed a couple of weeks, came back, threw a pick, tried to make a tackle on Andrew Van Ginkel, and injured his elbow again. Commanders fans very worried about Jalen Daniels, considering what happened to the last quarterback they thought was going to be a franchise quarterback in Robert Griffin III, and they're erring on the side of caution here. And it's unfortunate because we won't get to see the next installment of this Jalen Daniels-Jalen Hurts rivalry. As far as Jalen Hurts goes, no lingering effects from his ankle injury. It was a scary moment against the Raiders. He got tackled by Devin White, and his body kind of bent backward. His foot and his ankle got caught underneath him. He got up right away, was clearly favoring that ankle, trying to shake it out. He did come back in to start the fourth quarter, threw that rope to A.J. Brown, then we didn't see him again. Nick Sirianni said we didn't see him again because the Birds were up 31-0, and Hurts did practice on Wednesday. Elsewhere on the Eagles injury report, again, recording this on Wednesday, December 17th. This is the injury report from Tuesday. Saquon Barkley was listed as a non-participant on Tuesday, did practice on Wednesday. And then you look at some of the other players here, no changes on the Eagles injury report. So with that, who you got? Type PHI for the Eagles, WAS for the Washington Commanders. Get those predictions in. I always want to hear what you all have to say. Coming up next, I'm going to give you my keys to the game, top matchups to watch, what the Eagles must do to win this game on Saturday evening. Let's first get to our sponsor. Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, made possible thanks to our friends at Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. That place is Prize Picks. New feature alert, Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? Your team might be cooked, but with Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. And here's how you play the more or less game. 3-pick power play for Saturday. Dallas Goedert, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Jake Moody, more than 1.5 field goals made. Saquon Barkley, more than 77.5 rushing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. To the back half of our preview here. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out here with us. Coming up, Eagles Commanders on Saturday. I'm going to give you my keys to the game, top matchups to watch, what the Eagles must do to win this game, and I'll give you my prediction as well. This is going to be a rare Saturday game. And when you think about this Eagles 2025 schedule, they have played on Monday, they've played on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So an odd schedule in which the Eagles have had a lot of short weeks. They've played a lot of playoff caliber teams. They are certainly battle tested going into the postseason. Philadelphia 6.5-point favorites. That line has gone up about a half point, and the over-under for this game at 44.5. How the Commanders stack up. Jaden Daniels out for the rest of the year. Marcus Mariota, the former Eagle and Heisman Trophy winner from Oregon, will be the starting quarterback for Washington the rest of the way. The Commanders this season, frustrating year offensively because of the injury to JD and the overall lack of offensive production. They haven't been a consistent team regardless of who the quarterback has been. 24th in points per game, 18th in yards per game, 12th in yards per play, 18th on third downs. They're number 3 in the red zone. And last year, they're also good there and on third and fourth down. Defensively, the production, not good, especially for a defensive-minded head coach. 26th in points per game, 31st in yards per game. So Philadelphia should be able to move it here. 31st in yards per play. Could Philadelphia string together some explosives as well? 23rd on third downs, 28th in the red zone. You flip the page to the Eagles here. 18th in points per game at 22.9. 22nd in yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 23rd on third downs. And all year, they've been the most efficient red zone offense in the NFL, something that the Eagles have been able to hang their hats on. And then on defense, Vic Fangio is doing a heck of a job, man. 6th in points per game, 14th in yards per game, 10th in yards per play, 22nd on third downs, 4th in the red area. As far as my keys to the game, top matchups to watch, this Philadelphia Eagles offense needs to keep it rolling. And if they have a performance like they did against the Raiders, I think this Eagles fan base is really going to rally around this team. And a lot of Eagles fans are going to start to believe that this team can go back to back. And coming off that Raiders game and the Chargers game, I've been encouraged with what the Eagles have done, what they've accomplished, and some of the things they've experimented with on the offensive side of the pill against Las Vegas. Jalen Hurts coming off his struggle since the bye week. Sharp, decisive, and efficient. He was very dynamic with his legs. We saw under-snap efficiency. And I just like, from a conceptual standpoint, play designs, the scheme, play calling, Philadelphia's been smart, creative, and modern day. Credit to this coaching staff for being able to make in-season adjustments. And I thought against Las Vegas, the pass and the run game was balanced. I like some of the things they did against the Chargers, but they were way too pass heavy. And I thought against Las Vegas, they found that identity which worked last year. Being a balanced offense, having success on the ground, but also having some explosive and impressive plays through the air. And from a downfield route developing point of view, I like some of the things that the Eagles were able to devise. For the quarterback in Jalen Hurts, injured his ankle a little bit against Las Vegas, not going to be a worry for this game against Washington. And so when you think about Hurts, I think it's really important, obviously, for him to play in this game. But he's the leader of the cavalry, right? He's the leader of this team, the leader of this offense. This Eagles team needs to put together as many good and solid performances as possible from here on out to kind of gain that confidence, boost that morale, get the rhythm and the momentum going toward the NFL playoffs. You know that you have a Super Bowl caliber defense. If the offense can catch up a little bit, this team is really dangerous. And so why Hurts' health is important, offense coming off a game in which they dropped 31 points. The last two games, a lot of positive signs from this unit. The playoffs are right around the corner. Find a rhythm and peak late. This Raiders game, I think, can get the Eagles offense rolling. They just needed a confidence boost here, and you want Hurts to play better and this offense to gain steam going into the big dance. Key to the game number 2, matchup to watch number 2. The Eagles pass rush against the Commanders offensive line. This Commanders offensive line was a problem last year. They got bullied up front in the trenches by the Eagles, especially in the NFC Championship game. And so a big focus for Washington this offseason, led by general manager Adam Peters, was to improve the offensive line. And they have. Now, keep in mind that some of these numbers can change depending on the database, but the point here is that this Commanders front has improved drastically from a year ago. They've only given up 33 sacks. That's number 1 in the NFL. The pressure rate given up, this number can vary, but number 1 according to Sumer Sports. Yards per carry for Washington, 4.79, best in the league. Their explosive run rate, 12.47%, also atop the 32 teams in the NFL, and they've surrendered 203 pressures this season. This will be a great test for this Eagles pass rush, especially without Jalen Carter. And since the addition of Jalen Phillips, I think it's helped to elevate everybody along that defensive line. Now you're going to go up against a playoff caliber offensive line. And from a matchup standpoint, I want to see how this Eagles front and defense holds up. Key to the game number 3. I can't wait for this matchup. Quinyon Mitchell against Terry McLaurin. Get your popcorn ready. Now, in the first game between Quinyon and Terry last year, Quinyon won that matchup. In the second matchup between these two, McLaurin had that touchdown downfield. In the third matchup, NFC Championship game, Quinyon had a pick of Jaden Daniels, and I thought he won that matchup against Scary Terry. McLaurin had that contract holdout this offseason, ended up getting paid. It's been a disappointing season for him in Washington, considering the investment, because he's missed a lot of time with various injuries, but he still put up really good numbers, and he's performed very well against the Eagles throughout his career. 26 catches for 409 this year, 3 touchdowns, and is still an explosive threat downfield with that long of 56. But he's going up against Quinyon Mitchell, Nakobe, and he's familiar with getting clamped by the Eagles' second-year corner, who I think this year is playing at an all-pro level. And look at where Quinyon Mitchell stacks up against all corners across the league. He's number 1 in catch rate, number 3 in passer rating allowed, number 1 in tight window forced, number 1 in average target separation, number 2 in yards after the catch allowed, meaning he's had a lot of blanket coverage this year, 4th in forced incompletions, 4th in passes defended, and in more than 800 total snaps this year, 500 from a coverage standpoint, no touchdowns given up. Another marquee matchup in this ball game, Cooper DeJean, the best slot corner in the NFL, against Deebo Samuel, who's had a solid year. And as we all know, going back to his Niners days, Deebo does not like the Philadelphia Eagles. And he will line up on the inside. He'll line up on the outside. You look at his snap alignment this season, he's been in the slot for 350 snaps. Out wide, 217 snaps. In the backfield as a gadget guy for 13 snaps. So there will be times when Debo and Cooper DeJean are matched up one-on-one against one another. Debo will also see Adoree Jackson on the outside. Adoree Jackson, not a great tackler. Cooper DeJean, fantastic tackler. Debo Samuel has been known as the Yak King since coming into the league as the second-round pick in 2019. So tackling him in space with how physical he is, how hard he is to bring down, going to be a challenge. I think he's had a pretty solid season this year. 65 grabs for 604 yards, 5 touchdowns. Helped to carry the weight of the receiving core when Terry McLaurin was out. And then this is going to be a big one for the Eagles as well. Philadelphia has to stop the Commanders' run game. And since the bye week, it's kind of been up and down for this Eagles rush defense. They've been good against the Packers and the Lions, but bad against the Cowboys and the Bears, especially against Chicago when they gave up 284 rushing yards. This Commanders' rushing offense is efficient, they're explosive, they're consistent, and it has to do with the Commanders' offensive line being very much improved. And there's an avenue in which the Eagles could lose this game, although I'd be very surprised if they do lose. If the Eagles can't stop the run, this would allow the Commanders to control the game, control the clock, and keep this Eagles offense sidelined, which would hamper this Eagles offense because they badly need reps, need snaps to find a groove. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, one of the bright spots for Washington this year. And due to ridiculous college rules, barely played at Arizona last year, but the Commanders draft him, and he's been awesome. 143 carries, 646 yards, 5 touchdowns. And I think that he can continue to be a big factor for this Commanders offense moving forward. His nickname is Bill. You'll hear that on the broadcast. And then for Marcus Mariota, going back to Oregon with Tennessee, when he's gotten opportunities either with the Eagles, Las Vegas Raiders, Washington, they're going to run a lot of RPO, and he's going to keep it. So setting the edge for this Eagles defensive front and this Eagles defense is going to be important because if you crash, Mariota will keep it on some of these RPOs. Philadelphia got burned on that by Justin Herbert, and so they have to be cognizant of the fact that Mariota on design runs, RPOs, can still gash you with his feet and his legs. And pass rush lane discipline going to be important because if there's nothing there and you can't get to him, he can take off and pick up first downs, which can be deflating for the defense. Lastly, key to the game number 6. I'm giving you a bonus one compared to what we usually do. Philadelphia has to take care of business. What a wonderful opportunity the Eagles have in front of them to win the NFC East. And if Philadelphia beats Washington on Saturday, they will become divisional winners. And what an opportunity to celebrate back-to-back divisional titles in the NFC East by celebrating on the turf of the Washington Commanders. And as we know, there hasn't been a repeat divisional winner in the NFC East since the Eagles last did it in 2003-2004. So predict the score. Eagles, Commanders coming up on Saturday. Who you got? What's that score prediction? I think Philadelphia wins again in dominant fashion. They cover the spread for the second consecutive week. Give me the Birds 28-18, and in the process, they win the NFC East. All right, Joe Lord, a $2 super chat. Love the appreciation you have for us, Chase and Chip. Look, we're smart. What we do would not be possible without all of you. So everybody who continues to support the show, we greatly appreciate that. That includes you, Joe Lord, and everybody else, whether you send in a super chat or not, whether you comment or you don't. Johnny Handsome, $20 super chat, giving us a go Birds. Now, if anybody gives us a $50 super chat, we will give you a special animation for Saturday's broadcast in which we have a soundboard and we can put your name into that soundboard if you send in a $50 or more super chat. Joe Lord with the $2 super chat. Trey Losado is the true Trey. Don't be fooled. Trey Losado is also a real one. who watches this show. I see Lion Fighter in the building. Fly Sheet Only Gaming. Belt to ass on Saturday. Let's hope the birds go belt to ass on Saturday.
We have a imposter in the chat. Do you see this, Chase?
I don't.
So we have the regular Trey Losato, and then there's somebody who's Trey Losato 1.
2 Trey Losatos in the chat. How about it?
The fake.
The fake Trey Losato. That means that you're doing something right, right?
Got
some
some
fans.
fans.
If you have a burner account or somebody has made a dupe account, a fan account, you're just doing it right, Trey.
That's what it is. That's a fan account. He a fan. He a fan. He a fan.
Oh! Joe Lord with the $50 super chat. And let me see if I can do something here. For Joe Lord, sending in the 50. Here you go. Give my pops who passed props for this. Joe Lord Sr. R.I.P. Pops. You raised a good one in Joe Lord. And to Joe Lord Sr., hope you're watching down on Joe Jr. from above. All right, let me try to do this here.
Joe Lord.
All right. $50 super chat coming in. See if we can get this going. Let's see. Trying to play this for you, Joe. Yeah, let me try this. Think it'll work on the laptop here.
Little sneak peek.
Let's see what we got here.
Oh, and Rich. Rich coming in with a 50.
Rich Bischoff. All right, here we go. This is we're testing with the soundboard here. So for Jordan Rich, here's your sound for today.
That's a big-time super chat coming in here on Eagles Now.
Yeah, baby. That's for Joe and Rich. So anybody who sends in a 50 from here on out, we're going to play that sound for you. And then I'm going to put some notes down because we have to remember for Saturday's broadcast to get those names in there. And let's see. It's Rich Bischoff and then Joe Lord. We'll get your name automated and we'll play those on Saturday. So there we go. Messing with the soundboard here. Thanks to our guy, Arnold. Joe Lord, you making bro do soundboards off his laptop? Look, we're in the infancy stages of this. I didn't have to play it today. We're just giving you a sneak peek on Saturday. Once we get all this figured out, we're actually going to be able to play it through the system. And
Yes.
Chip's going to be able to play it. But I couldn't wait. I was so excited. I wanted to show you right now. All right, more than 200 people hanging out. 119 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. And if somebody else sends in a 50, we'll play that sound for you because we continue to adapt and evolve as a company. For our mailbag, use the hashtag Eagles or send in a super chat. That's the hashtag Eagles or send in a super chat if you have a question that you want answered for our mailbag, which is coming up in the back half of segment number 3. In the meantime, we're going to go into segment number 1. Did we get another one, Chip?
We got another one.
Oh! Another $50 super chat coming in. This time from Joe Lord. Joe Lord Sr. raising a good one. All right, I think we have to play it again, right?
Gotta play it.
We got to play it again. Let's go. Here we go.
That's a big-time super chat coming in here on Eagles Now.
Cha-ching!
Yeah.
Joe Lord, Rich Bischoff making it rain. Again, this is like the, what do you call it? Like the beta, the beta stages
yep.
of us experimenting with some new things to get people pumped up here on the show. But Joe Lord, appreciate that. Another $50 super chat coming in. We really do appreciate all the love and support that you continue to show us. And look at that. We're 174 in super chats. If somebody sends in a super chat to get us past 200, shoot, I'll play the sound again. All right, let's get to segment number 2 here. A lot of good news coming in for the Birds here. And we'll step into that coming up here in a moment. So glad all of you are hanging out here with us on this Wednesday, December 17th. And let's get to segment number 2 coming up right now. Hey there, welcome into the show. My name is Chase Sr., and you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Thank you so much for clicking on today's show and supporting the channel and the movement. So many talented content creators out there who cover the Eagles here on YouTube. So many ways for you to get your Eagles coverage, whether it be on podcast, YouTube, on the radio, on television, or whatever. So anytime you decide to hang out here with us, we really do appreciate that. Coming up on the show, a triple dose of good news for Eagles fans going into Saturday's Week 16 game against the Washington Commanders. But let's start here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and support the show. It keeps the lights on in the studio. It keeps the content free. As you can see, we're 77 people away from 140,000 subs, so lock us in today. Triple dose of good news. What you love to see. Point number 1. This Eagles offense all year going into that Chargers game had been in a precarious spot. And the same issues that we were talking about with this Eagles offense in week 1 continued to surface every single week. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm very confident in saying this. I think this Eagles offense has found a groove. How do you want your quarterback to respond when there's pressure mounting? When there's noise and a lot of drama across the city of brotherly love? When he's getting ripped by fans, media members? When some people within the Eagles organization are leaking things to the media? How do you want your quarterback to respond to all of that? You want your quarterback to go out there, silence the haters, ball out, and dominate. That's exactly what Jalen Hurts did against the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a game in which he had to face a lot of adversity when he turned it over 5 times against the Chargers, including a pick that ended the game in overtime. And so, I think this Eagles offense is just starting to get rolling here. And what I loved from this offensive unit against Las Vegas was how Hurts played in general. Sharp, decisive, and efficient. He was very dynamic with his legs, either with designed and called quarterback runs or being able to create out of structure. I loved how efficient the Eagles were under center and how they called plays from under center to get the pass game, play action game working in addition to the run game. This is a credit to this Eagles collaborative coaching staff led by Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and Scott Loeffler, who we've talked a lot about over the last few weeks. And it's also a credit to a guy in Parks Frazier, the pass game coordinator, for drawing some things up with this Eagles offense as well. Smart, creative, modern-day concepts. We've been asking for this. We've been begging for this. And finally, over the last 2 games, we've seen this Eagles offense alter and adjust some of the things that they do on the offensive side of the pill. And really the biggest thing from that Raiders game was the Eagles getting back to their foundational elements of an offense, getting back to what their identity was last year, being balanced, running it, and having the pass game work off of that. That's not a slight to Jalen Hurts. I think any offense out there wants to be a more balanced offense because it's not sustainable to win consistently when you're having to throw it 40-plus times, especially when the weather gets cold during the postseason. Thankfully, against the Raiders, Jalen Hurts did avoid a bad ankle injury, and this play scared a lot of people because of how it looked and how Hurts reacted to it, and then what he said after the game. End of the third quarter, former Eagle Devin White tackles him and Hurts's ankle gets caught beneath him. Hurts got up right away after he was slow to get up, kind of shaking that off, came back to start the fourth, ripped that seam ball dime to A.J. Brown, and said after the game, we got to get it checked out, but Hurts has been healthy this week, and he's going to play against Washington. And why his health is important. He's the leader of this offense. This offense goes as Jalen Hurts goes. And you're coming off a game in which you finally started to gather momentum, establish a rhythm, find an identity, get that much needed morale boost. And so with these encouraging signs that we've seen visibly, you want the Eagles to have every opportunity to continue to iron out some of the wrinkles, work on their flaws with the playoffs coming up. And I think that this Eagles team, with what they did in that Raiders game, proved that the 2025 Eagles are not the 2023 Eagles. Remember the 2023 choke job? How could you forget it, right? The Eagles lost 6 of their final 7 games, including a blowout wildcard loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was really embarrassing, and it was hard to watch, especially coming off that Super Bowl defeat. There was salt in the wound. Late in the year at Lincoln Financial Field, the Eagles lost to the 3-12 Arizona Cardinals, and they lost that game by giving up 15 unanswered points in the third quarter and a go-ahead touchdown late in the game. And I've continued to say this, but this 2023 team is different than the 2025 team because of the talent, because of the coaching, but because this defense this year is worlds better than the 2023 defense, and the defensive coordinator is an all-time great. What's also great for Philadelphia here, as we continue to give you so much good news during this segment, is that the good vibes seem to be back for the Eagles. The in-season Hard Knocks has been pretty fascinating as far as some of the stuff that you see behind the scenes. And after Jalen Hurts threw that seam ball to A.J. Brown for that touchdown, which put Philadelphia up 31-0 to start the fourth quarter, Hurts comes to the sideline and goes up to Nick Sirianni and says, "I got you, baby." And then Nick Sirianni says, "You better say great fucking design," which is great because it's the quarterback and the head coach showing that they have a great relationship, that they're excited for one another and supporting one another, but also that the Eagles are working with some of these newer creative designs to help to maximize the quarterback, maximize playmakers, and put people in a position to succeed. And Hurts responded to that by saying, "I put it up the seam," and Nick Sirianni said, "Yeah, you did." I just think that given the Eagles' offense struggling all year, the weight of the city on them, and that's expectations, but also how poorly they've played, they needed to have a game like this to lift the pressure off of themselves, to feel good about themselves once again, to just smile. Human nature is a thing. And that's why I put stock into that Raiders performance. There's also this. We have to give credit to this Eagles offensive coaching staff, Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Scott Loeffler, for making the necessary adjustments on offense to get this offensive unit on track and to maximize Jalen Hurts. And Hurts gave credit on Tuesday to Sirianni and Patullo for marrying the run and pass game with under center calls. And Hurts has been very efficient this season when operating from under center. In the shotgun, 5.4 yards per attempt and a QBR of 38.4. And sometimes, whether it's a run or a pass, the Eagles offense was very predictable in the shotgun. But under center, play action can get going. You can take some shots downfield. Plus, it's easier to run the ball from under center. And look at the efficiency for Hurts on under center snaps this season. Yards per attempt skyrockets to 10.5. His QBR nearly doubles to 60.8. This has been a big key in helping to unlock this Eagles offense the last 2 games. What you love to see. That's only one part of what we're getting to on today's show as far as the triple dose of good news, so don't you dare go anywhere. Let's first get to our sponsor, Tushy. Tushy, making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible. And for all of us who love the Tush Push, it's only fitting that Eagles Now is brought to you by Tushy, the everyday luxury bidet You have to check it out for yourself. And you can save big on Tushy by using the code CHAT at hellotushy.com/chat. What am I talking about here? I got you. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. Whether you're shopping for a bro, CEO, daddy, activist, or somebody who, I don't know, lights their farts on fire, it's the gift that refuses to pick a lane. Luxurious, practical, techie, and so easy to use. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy Wave instantly modernizes your daily routine and bathroom with a super sleek seat plus 2 separate front and rear nozzles for the most complete clean. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. I'm telling you, this is daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. Instead of wiping endlessly with toilet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient. That natural ingredient, water. Do-it-yourself install takes less than 10 minutes. So here you go. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order when you use the code CHAT at hellotushy.com/chat. All right. This defense continues to show us that they are Super Bowl caliber and that they are peaking at the right time. To start the year, kind of like in 2024, they had their ups and downs as a defensive unit. They had some of their blemishes, but man, especially since the bye week, this defense has really found its stride. Which brings me to this. How lucky are we as Eagles fans for Philadelphia to employ Vic Fangio? The last 2 years, he has done a hell of a job as a defensive coordinator for this football team. And look at how this Eagles defense has performed since week 10. First in opponent completion percentage. First in fourth down defense. Second in opponent passer rating. Third in points allowed per game. Third in pressures with 90. Third in quarterback hits. Third in yards per pass allowed. Tied for third in forced fumbles. Nick Sirianni loves to emphasize this. Fourth in sacks, which is huge. Tied for fifth in takeaways. Vic Fangio, we appreciate you. And this is why it's so vital for this Eagles offense to improve. If you get better offensive play paired with this defense and you look at a wide open NFC, there might not be a team that can stop Philadelphia in the NFL postseason. You also look at the AFC. There isn't a great team over there. And when the Eagles are playing their best football, they are a great team. And they are battle-tested. They do have a championship DNA. Which brings me to this. That the Eagles are, in fact, battle-tested. When the playoffs come around, when you play in this city, physically and mentally, you want to be Teflon. You want to be bulletproof. And when you play in this city, if you handle it well, which I think is a big credit to Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts for how they handle the pressure from the media and the fan base, you get to the playoffs, you have some difficult opponents, you're already calloused by the time that the hardest part of your season comes around. You also pair that with the fact that this Eagles schedule all year has been a gauntlet with all these short weeks. This is why, if the offense gets better, the sky's the limit for this football team. Now, Zach Berman, a great follow on X, covering the Eagles for The Athletic, put this article out. It's week 16. The Eagles can clinch the NFC East earlier than at any point in the Nick Sirianni era with the favorable path to the 2 or the 3 seed. Who would have signed up for that in August? Any of us coming off a Super Bowl championship. But Berman then quote tweeted that with this. One thing discussed in that article. The Super Bowl runs can sometimes be sanitized as entirely glorious in hindsight, but there have always been turbulent Decembers. Last season, remember how the passing game was considered a problem entering Week 15 and Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion in the divisional loss in Week 16 against the Commanders? In 2017, Carson Wentz tore his ACL in Week 14. There were questions about Nick Foles entering the postseason. So those 2 points right there. Last year, Eagles won a Super Bowl. 2017, Philadelphia won a Super Bowl. In 2022, Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. Remember when Jalen Hurts was injured in Week 15? The Eagles lost back-to-back games, and they needed Week 18 to clinch the NFC East and the number 1 seed. In 2004, remember when Terrell Owens was injured in Week 15? Eagles lost their final 2 games while mostly resting starters. What happened that year? They made it to the Super Bowl. So a good point made by Zach Berman here. The key is to get into the tournament, get hot at the right time, and the Eagles right now might be getting hot at the right time. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok. I love giving you informative, insightful coverage. We want to be creative with a lot of the content that we give you, and I'm doing this here on YouTube. I'm doing it here on my social media pages, and I just started that TikTok page, so hit me up over there. Oh! Johnny Handsome, another $50 super chat. Go Birds! We got you back, senior. I love it. I love it. All right, that's another 50. And then Joe Lord, he sent us the 26 to get us over 200 at the time. And I told you that we'd play that animation again off the soundboard. Shout out to Trey, Carol, Chip, and Chase, all my lovely Birds fans. Let me get a Go Birds in the chat. We got you. And then Johnny Handsome again. Ain't nothing but the dogs in me. Bow, wow, wow. Yippee, yo, yippee, yay. Go Birds. That is awesome, man. I love the energy. All right, let's do this once again. Now, we'll have this officially built into our system on Saturday, but I couldn't wait to show you all.
That's a big-time super chat coming in here on Eagles Now.
Yeah, baby. Thanks to Arnold for putting that together. And whoever sends in a super chat, $50 or more, we got Johnny Handsome and we got Joe Lord. That's Rich Bischoff and Joe Lord. We're actually going to have Arnold put together a celebration mentioning your name on the soundboard. And we'll do that and play that for Saturday's broadcast. All right, time for segment number 3. Continue to hum along here on the show. Already up to $270 in super chats. How about it, baby? How about it?
Let's go. About to do a mailbag back half of this segment, so last chance to get those questions in. We got a good amount so far, so
Awesome.
Good enough to run it for sure.
Good to hear. Appreciate the viewer participation here. Always enjoy chopping it up with everybody and doing a mailbag here. And if you send in another 50, we'll go back to the soundboard once again. So we'll keep it humming. All right, segment number 3. Going to take a look at the Eagles playoff picture. It's new and updated and a lot of new things and thoughts to get to. And then we will take your questions as well. So last call, if you want to be involved with our mailbag, use the hashtag Eagles or send in a super chat. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's get to segment number 3 live right now. Philadelphia Eagles now rolls on. Welcome into the show. My name is Chase Senior. Coming up, a lot to get to. We're going to take a look at the new Eagles playoff picture update. And also on the back half of today's program, we're going to open up the floor and take your questions for a mailbag. I always love chopping it up with all of the real ones and our loyal subscribers. Speaking of that, if you haven't subscribed, you ain't alive. Hit that sub button right now. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon. Turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime I publish a show like this on YouTube, anytime we go live, you will get that push notification so that you can hang out here and join us and get informed. But also, we'll be live for a watch party. Eagles Commanders on Saturday. Our pregame show begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see all of you there. And of course, go Birds. So for those of you watching this show right now, we're recording this during our live program on Wednesday. It's important to note that on Thursday Night Football, there is a massive game in the NFC between the Los Angeles Rams, the current number 1 seed, and the Seattle Seahawks, the number 5 seed. This game has a lot of playoff implications to it because of it potentially deciding the number 1 seed and home field advantage in the conference, the NFC East, and then for the loser, a seed as far as a wild card spot goes. And these two teams met back a few weeks ago at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Sam Darnold turned it over 4 times. The Seahawks still had an opportunity to win that game. They missed a last-second field goal. So the Rams held on, and now Los Angeles, road favorites -1, pretty much a pick 'em on Thursday, and the over-under at 42.5. So with that being said, you look at the NFC playoff picture going into Thursday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams, number 1 seed at 11-3. They've already clinched a playoff spot. The Bears and Packers, the 2-7 seed, they will meet again for the second time in 3 weeks on Saturday as well after the Eagles-Commanders game. So that will determine a lot as well. You're hoping for a Packers win because that would catapult them up the standings, and the Eagles have the tiebreaker over Green Bay. They don't against the Bears. Buccaneers leading the NFC South. Buccaneers and Panthers going to duke it out 2 times in the final 3 weeks to determine the NFC South champ. And then the 3 wildcard teams, Seahawks, Niners, Packers, and then the Lions at 8-6, Carolina 7-7, and Cowboys 6-7-1. Still in the mix, although for Dallas, pretty much impossible to make it into the playoffs. And so my playoff picture thoughts here. The magic number for the Birds to win the NFC East is 1. And if they beat Washington on Saturday, they become the first repeat divisional winner in the NFC East since 2004. A big storyline this week. I think it would be ideal for Philadelphia to get the number 2 seed if possible. You beat Washington this week. You beat Buffalo the following week. You could get yourselves in a position to get that number 2 seed, and maybe you could rest some starters in the final week of the year. Eagles Commanders, which would obviously be ideal as well. There's also a very good chance here that, factoring in the other teams around Philadelphia, that the Eagles get the number 3 seed. If that happens, you still get to host a wild card playoff game at the Link, but then you'd be hoping for an upset in round 1 to get another home game in the divisional round. Eagles do have head-to-head tiebreakers in the conference against teams like the Rams, Packers, and Lions, so keep that in mind as well. As far as some scenarios here, if the Eagles finish 12-5, Philadelphia will clinch at least the number 3 seed. There is still a scenario in which the Philadelphia Eagles can get the number 1 seed in the NFC and get home field advantage going through Lincoln Financial Field, a very difficult place to play in January, considering this fan base is incredible and the weather cold in January in South Philadelphia. Here's what has to happen. The Rams have to lose twice. The Seahawks have to lose twice. The Niners have to lose 2 times. The Bears have to lose 2 times. And the Packers have to lose once in order for Philadelphia to get that number 1 seed, while the Eagles would have to win out, and that's how they can get that number 1 seed. If the Eagles finish 11-6, Philadelphia will clinch at least the number 3 seed in the NFC. And some of the scenarios there, how to clinch the number 2 seed for Philadelphia, Bears have to lose all of their remaining games. And we'll take a look at the schedules for all these teams coming up as well. The Bears have to lose twice. The Lions, though, have to win 3 times. And then the Packers have to lose twice as well. So you look at the Eagles' remaining schedule. It's possible to run the table to get to that 12-5 record. They're 9-5 right now. Week 16 on the road against Washington. Week 17 on the road against the Bills. Week 18 could come down to a decision for Nick Sirianni. Rest his players or play his starters to try to get that number 2 seed. We'll see. And obviously some other things have to happen across the NFC landscape. The Rams' remaining schedule: at Seattle on Thursday night, on the road against the Falcons on Monday night, and then Week 18 against Arizona. The Seahawks' remaining schedule: Week 16 against the Rams, Week 17 on the road against Carolina, Week 18 on the road against the Niners. 3 difficult games there because the Panthers are pesky. The Bears' remaining schedule: another hard slate here. The Packers for the second time in 3 weeks, this time at home on Saturday. Week 17 on the road against the Niners. That'll be a big-time game in the NFC. And then Week 18 against the Lions. Whether the Lions are in it or out of it, they love to play spoiler against their hated division rivals. The Niners' remaining schedule: Week 16 on the road against the Colts on Monday night. Week 17 at home against the Bears on Sunday night. Week 18 against Seattle. That's also a difficult remaining schedule for San Francisco. The Packers' schedule from here on out. Week 16 on the road against Chicago, as we mentioned. Week 17 at home against Baltimore. Baltimore still with a lot to play for. And then Week 18 on the road against Minnesota, a Minnesota team that just beat Dallas when Dallas was facing a must-win game. And J.J. McCarthy kind of improving, and that'll be a divisional game as well. So I do want to pop up today's poll question before we get to your questions. Who do you want the Eagles to play in the first round of the playoffs? Give me a team down below in the comment section right now. Before we get to your questions, let's get to our sponsor. Today's Philadelphia Eagles now made possible thanks to our friends at Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what to watch, there's one place where it feels great to be right. That place is Prize Picks. New feature alert, Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? Your team might be cooked, but with Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. 3-pick power play. Let's go with Dallas Goedert to find the end zone. Jake Moody, more than 1.5 field goals made. And then Saquon Barkley, more than 77.5 rushing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's run it up. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Really excited to take all of your questions for a mailbag. And I always love chopping it up with all of the real ones and the loyal subscribers who continue to support this show. And that includes our guy, Joe Lord. $50 super chat during our live program. Let's talk about Nakobe Dean. What a boss. Give me some insight. So I had a question from a coworker earlier today. And that coworker asked me, Chase, how has Jahad Campbell played this year? And I said, you know what, Moose? Jahad Campbell to start the year was one of the highest graded rookies from the 2025 draft class. He was playing really well. And he was playing well in a very hybrid role. Off-ball linebacker alongside Zack Baun, occasionally used as an edge rusher. Vic Fangio would dial up some blitzes, and Jahad Campbell would blitz from that linebacker spot. He hasn't played a lot in recent weeks, but it has nothing to do with Jahad Campbell's play. It has to do with the emergence and the play of Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean right now is playing at an all-pro caliber level. He came back against the Giants on that Thursday night. Didn't play that much. Against Minnesota, didn't play a lot. Then he started to get more action from that point forward. And Vic Fangio has really found a great role for Nakobe Dean. And he's become such a dynamic player where he's turned into one of the best off-ball linebacker blitzers in the NFL. As always, he's always been a very smart player with a high football IQ. I mean, the guy studied engineering at Georgia, so he can read, diagnose plays, and sniff them out well. That allows him to be really good against the run, but also, as we saw against the Raiders, identify where the screen is going and attack the ball carrier in coverage. He's been really good. And for him, too, to come off that patellar tendon tear, which he suffered in January, and to come back as quickly as he did, oftentimes that can be a career ender for a lot of players. For Nakobe Dean, he's been better than ever before. Now, he's in a contract year. With him playing this well, might be hard to retain him because he's going to earn a bag. But, man, I would love for the Eagles to find a way to be able to bring him back. His pass rush grade, 92.3 this year. It's second among all off-ball linebackers. He has been such a game changer for this Eagles defense. And when you pair him alongside Zack Baun, they've been one of the top linebacking duos in the NFL, just like they were last year. Another $5 super chat from Joe Lord. Adoree Jackson has been improving. Do we have the confidence in him in the postseason with him? I'm a bit shaky on it. I think he's played really well against mediocre wide receivers across the NFL. He struggled at times against elite wide receivers. What it's really going to come down to, if you can get a pass rush with your front and you don't have to blitz all that much, while occasionally sprinkling in the Zack, Baun, Nakobe, Dean blitz calls, you'll be fine on that back end. If you can't generate pressure on the quarterback, that's when I worry about Adoree Jackson. I will say this, he's tied with Quinyon Mitchell for number 2 in tight window throw rate forced. So he's had a lot of really good coverage downfield, just like Quinyon. And to his credit, since a rocky start to the year, he's improved a lot. But those concerns lingering for you, they're lingering for a lot of us because we've seen who Adoree Jackson has been at times throughout his career. The Thunderhounds, how can the Eagles get the number 1 seed? Is it still possible? If not, how can they get the number 2 seed? So we actually have those scenarios for you. If the Eagles win out and finish 12-5 on the year, they're going to need the Rams to lose twice in their final 3 games, the Seahawks to lose twice, the Niners to lose twice, the Bears to lose twice, and the Packers to lose once. It's possible, but it's really hard. How the Eagles can get the number 2 seed, a little bit more realistic. They have a 70% chance to get the number 3 seed. So I think they're looking at a 3-6 matchup. You need the Bears to lose 3 times because you don't have the tiebreaker. You need the Bears to lose twice or the Lions to win 3 times. Or you need the Packers to lose twice. That's how you can get the number 2 seed. Cool Rains, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Who do you hope the Eagles play in the wild card game? Man, that's a really good question. Hard to gauge. I would have confidence in the Eagles going up against the Packers. I think that the Eagles could beat the Niners, although their offense could cause some fits for the Eagles defense, even though Philadelphia's defense is elite. I wouldn't mind another crack at the Chicago Bears. I don't think the Seahawks would be a bad matchup because I think that their offense has some problems. Keep in mind, recording this during our Wednesday show. So by the time that this mailbag comes out, the Rams and Seahawks would have played, so their records will change by the time that you're watching this. But it's going to be a tough draw just because the NFC is deep and it's wide open. Kelly Wong, I know the Rams are hot this year, but I still think they have the Rams number. They have to get there, of course. What do you think? Yeah, I like how Philadelphia matches up against the Rams, especially in a big game. The Rams haven't been able to beat Philadelphia of late. You think back to week 3 when the Eagles scored, 24 unanswered. You think back to last year's divisional round when Philadelphia beat Los Angeles. You think back to week 12 of last year when Saquon Barkley ran for more than 200 yards. The Rams secondary is still a massive problem. It's the weakness on that team. And so I do think that the Eagles would be able to attack that secondary. Philly's defense would be tested because the Rams are really good, but Devontae Adams has been nursing that hamstring injury. How does Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay play in a big game? Obviously, they've won a Super Bowl together, but against Philadelphia, they've come up short. So I know they're hot, but they also haven't really played anybody, and they've lost this year as 10-point favorites against Carolina and as 8-point favorites against 8.5-point favorites against the Niners with Mac Jones back in, week 5, I think. So I don't think they're a great team. When they're playing their best, they're scary, but I think Philadelphia could beat them. And if that game is at SoFi Stadium, Eagles fans will take over the joint. It'll be loud. Matthew Stafford might have to be in a silent count. That dude Dave, 21, do y'all think the Eagles have been holding back a little bit, waiting to unleash for the playoffs? As far as play calling, I don't think so. As far as effort and the want to, I think there could be something to be said for that. You think about the Chiefs under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes during their dynastic run, which now is over. They always peaked in December. And sometimes they didn't play their best football before that. Sometimes that comes down to focus, concentration. And when the Eagles are having as many penalties as they're having, when they're missing assignments and not executing, Jordan Mailata even said it. Sometimes it comes down to 1-2. And when you win a Super Bowl, your offseason becomes shortened. You're a little bit mentally and physically fatigued and tired. And the regular season doesn't mean as much. Doesn't mean that the Eagles don't care, but it just doesn't have the gravity that it usually does when you have something to prove. That's human nature just settling in. So I do think with that Raiders game, I think you saw an Eagles team that said, we have to get it together. It's the final month of the season. We have to kick it into gear. And hopefully against Washington, it carries over. Andrew Nathan, great profile picture right there. That was me reacting to the A.J. Brown touchdown. I was pumped up, screaming. Chase, Jahad Campbell, a 2026 first and 2027 second-round pick for Max Crosby. So I saw that you responded to my tweet with that, and I responded back to you, Andrew. But that was on X. For the purposes of today's YouTube show, let's discuss this. And Andrew Nathan responded to my tweet because there was a video of Max Crosby on his podcast showing a lot of love to the city of Philadelphia and to the Eagles fan base. He said, quote, true fan bases that love their city and their team, those are Eagles fans. He loved playing in Philadelphia. He mentioned going to the stadium. It was snowing, and then the stadium was kind of in the background. He said that you could really feel the intensity. And so I just joked around on my Twitter, does Max Crosby want to be a Philadelphia Eagle? I think the Raiders should trade him this offseason. I think that they should trade him and Brock Bowers, get multiple first-round picks and rebuild because there's so many pieces away from actually competing. And I think Max Crosby would be the perfect Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, a guy who plays hard, empties the tank, plays through the whistle and after the whistle, who cares about football, is very dedicated to his craft. The only thing is, it's going to take more than Jahad Campbell, a 1 and a 2. You're going to have to give up multiple first-round picks for Max Crosby. The thing with Campbell is he's an off-ball linebacker that doesn't have the value or hold the weight that an edge rusher does. So while I would love for the Eagles to make a move for Max Crosby, he would make their defense better. He'd be a fan favorite, and he would fully tap into what this city is about to the core of us as human beings, the fabric of the city. It's going to be a fat package. Plus, he's also making a lot of money. So I just don't think Howie Roseman would make a move like that. But does Max Crosby want to be a Philadelphia Eagle? Maybe. Good question, Andrew Nathan. Appreciate that. American Eagle, one of our Super Chat legends. Hey, question. Will Jane Daniels play against our Birds on Saturday? Is it possible to trade for Myles Garrett? And would Kevin Patullo walk this offseason? So Jane Daniels out for the rest of the year. That has been confirmed. And we've talked about that all week long. They're going to sit him, err on the side of caution. They don't want him getting injured again. And so Marcus Mariota will start against the Eagles in 2 of the final 3 games against the Birds. Is it possible to trade for Myles Garrett? I kind of think he's untouchable with that contract, but if a new regime comes in for Cleveland and they want to get a couple of firsts back for Myles Garrett, maybe. Will Kevin Patullo walk this offseason? I don't think he would walk. I think he would get fired if the Eagles were to move on. Big audition for him for the final month of the year. You like what you saw against the Chargers. Positive steps off of that against the Raiders. What does he do in the final 3 weeks and in the playoffs? That's going to determine his future with the Eagles organization as the offensive coordinator. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks to everybody for watching the show. We love you. We appreciate you. All right. Awesome day in Super Chats, everybody. Really appreciate it. For Rich Bischoff and Joe Lord, one more time for all the legends out there.
That's a big-time super chat coming in here on Eagles Now.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! All right, we're going to dip on out of here. Thanks to everybody for tuning in today. Andrew Nathan saying good show. Good question by you. For Chip, I'm Chase. We'll next be live on Saturday afternoon. Eagles Commanders will be live for an hour pregame show, live for the game, live after the game. Can't wait for it, and we'll see you then.